Hello, my friends. All right, it is time for part two of my New Age to Jesus testimonial. And I'm not going to lie, I feel very nervous to share this part and the details of my experience of what I went through, um, and all the New Age practices that I got myself involved in. I think it's because I just haven't really verbalized and truly looked at everything that I did within a 2 year time frame until now. So I'm just going to say a quick prayer and then I will begin to share more of the story, because part one was really just an overview of kind of what happened, how I got into kind of coaching and the new age, and then what brought me to Jesus in the end. But I didn't speak much about the actual practices and experiences that I had during that 2 year time frame. So right now I'm going to break it down. And what this really truly is, in essence, is exposing the spiritual coaching community that's out there right now. There is no um, regulations on the industry or anything. So these coaches are really allowed to do and charge pretty much whatever they want, which is also then what I was doing. So I'm just here to shed light on that for you, just so that you don't end up in a situation like I was in. Okay, so I just want to say a quick prayer. Lord God, Heavenly Father, I pray that you guide me in this conversation I am to lead today, and that this message falls upon the ears of the people who are meant to hear it most. My biggest revelation, I think, comes from Romans 1 verse 25, as it is written about God's wrath against sinful humanity. People exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshiped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. And this is exactly the sin that I did, which I am here to denounce my practices and to shed light on the spiritual coaching industry and all that is evil and wrong with it, so that these listeners may shy away from these practices and find their way in the Lord Jesus Christ. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you. So let's get started. Now, I didn't really make a whole lot of notes for today's recording, so I'm hoping this isn't too all over the place. But what I did do was I wrote down documentation of the money that I had spent in the coaching industry, and when I spent it and who I spent it with, so that I could kind of put together a story of how I got to where I did. So I think the very first thing that got me kind of sucked in to being open and accepting of this spiritual concept was the fact that as I was working in my network marketing community on fitness, there's a lot of attention that goes into your mindset. And I think that's actually pretty much everywhere right now, right? Like we always say, like when you change your mind, you change your life. Change the way you're thinking. Think positive, because when you start to behave in that way, when you start to think that way, you behave differently. And I think this is great. But at the same time, you can really take that concept and run with it. And that's exactly what a lot of these coaches that I worked with did. And they take it deeper into their own kind of created ways that then manipulates the mind. So I want to talk a bit about that. So some of the things I'm going to talk about, I did briefly touch on in my first video, so it might be a little bit of a recap for you, but I'm just going to bring it up again because it's important and it's part of my story and where I began. So the very first coach I had hired that really was more into the spiritual aspect of things, that occurred around November, December of 2020. And I had paid her about $1,000 to be in a small group setting. I think there were maybe 7 of us or so. And she, would allow us to come to a group conversation. If you had any questions around coaching, you could ask and she would guide you. She also had provided like a meditation, or she called it an activation, that she recommended you listen to every single day. And the first time I heard this meditation, I had never meditated before, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to go all in. I spent the money on this. I might as well be an active participant. So I did the meditations every day. And the first time I did it, I felt like I had an out of body experience, which was actually, I felt very positive. I thought, wow, I've never thought in this way. I've never experienced anything in this way. It felt amazing. It felt like I can do great things, and this is great. And I can do it on my own. I can do it through changing my mindset. And there was one part of this activation where she had said that you would co-create this desire that's on your heart. And I didn't understand what that meant at first. So I went to the group and I asked her, I said, everything else makes sense, but I really don't get what you mean by a co-creation. Like, what is that? And she said, it's like a manifestation. When you want something to manifest in your life, you co-create it with the universe. Now, that's a key term, with the universe, to allow for this to happen within your life. And I really didn't understand at the time, because I really wasn't into New Age concepts. But this was really just an introduction for me. And boy, did I run with it. So I thought, okay, well, she said sometimes, you could say the universe, God, source, spirit. There's all different kinds of words you could throw in there. But she never said Jesus. And later, I realized when she spoke of God, the question really became, well, what God? What God are we honoring here? And I can tell you now, it's not the one true God. So I worked with her for about 6 weeks in the group setting, and there were many different people in there trying to get into different aspects. Nobody was really doing exactly like what I was doing, wanting to be just a better fitness coach, honestly. But because of this spiritual twist, and because of me growing up with a very open spiritual mind, I was more open to running with these New Age concepts. So there was someone in the group that had been trying to start a coaching business that was around human design. And if you've never heard of human design, it's a lot like astrology in a way, but it's supposed to kind of be like a blueprint of your life. It's supposed to have some kind of there's an indicator of the meaning of your life and the goal of your life. And there's a lot that really goes into it. I think it goes a little bit deeper even than astrology does, but it kind of has its own twist. So at first, when that woman in the group was talking about her human design coaching, I had absolutely no clue what she was talking about. I had never heard of human design before, and I just kind of ignored everything she said about it. But it's important to mention now, because eventually I got very into human design, which again is a New Age concept. So leading into mid-December 2020, I was also taking courses from another business building coach who maybe focused somewhat on mindset, but more just like, okay, think positive. This is going to work out for you. Everything's going to be fine. There was no spiritual twist on it whatsoever. But because I didn't feel like that was enough, I kept running towards more like there's got to be some kind of magical, mystical way of becoming some super awesome millionaire coach fast. So I was paying this other coach about $100 a month just for the business side of things, while I was also taking the business slash spiritual coaching for 6 weeks. In that time, so mid to late December, I was just cruising around Facebook, scrolling, and there was a page that I think had to do with maybe something about household things. Like, it wasn't anything about spiritual community. It wasn't anything really about anything. And I just happened to look in the comments section, and they said, hey, you know what? Let's support small businesses. if you have a small business, list your business below. And within the comments, I had seen that someone had commented that she had a tarot reading business online, and she linked her Instagram account to it. So I saw that and I thought, now, this is interesting. My mind has just been opened to this whole spiritual world and this thing about the universe and whatnot. And I'd never had a tarot reading before. And I always thought it was evil. I always thought, like, there's no way you should ever dabble with that because that is straight from Satan. And because I had been kind of talking otherwise about these spiritual new age things, I thought, you know what? I kind of want to see what tarot is all about. I kind of want to just give it a try. So I paid this girl, it was $41 for her to do a quick Instagram like tarot card reading. And I thought it was okay. I thought it was kind of weird. I was just like, some of it I could maybe relate to, but I was just like, okay, I'm going to just take this for what it is, surface level, whatever. But from there, I still had an interest. I was intrigued to a point. And so in January 2021, I purchased an affirmator card deck. Now, this was not like a spiritual thing whatsoever, but kind of the gateway between me starting to get into all of these like spiritual card decks. So this affirmator card deck really was just a deck of cards that had affirmations on it and just positive sayings, positive ways of thinking. Didn't say anything about any type of like angels or spiritual beings or anything like that. It was really more about just like tending to your mindset and thinking more positive about what you could do in that day to make your day better or different. Now, the thing though is I decided to kind of put my own spiritual twist on it. And I started thinking, whatever card I pull is going to be how my day is going to go. And it's like, how exactly am I going to take this phrase and basically glorify it and make it exactly what my day is going to be all about. So, and I felt like I would pray beforehand and I would say, give me the message that I need to receive today so that I can learn from it based on this card. And then I would believe that whatever card I pulled was somehow divinely guided. Divinely guided by who? Not Jesus. At the time, I really didn't believe in Jesus anymore. I had basically abandoned him from my life whatsoever. In February of 2021, I spent $35 on a magic candle from a woman who claimed to have, I don't know if she claimed to be a witch or not, but she made spells. She cast spells as she was creating her candles. And I don't even remember. I think this candle I bought had something to do with manifesting money. And she said to burn it always on Thursdays and Fridays, because those are likely the days that, you get paid, and not to blow it out, but to snuff it out. Like there were all these like rules that you had to go through. And she claimed that one of her clients had manifested like $3,000 or something by the end of the candle. So I was like, oh, cool, great. And I get a candle. So that's fun. Yeah, I didn't manifest really like any money with that candle, just so you know. And from there, then I also bought a book that had a lot of affirmations and just new age concepts written in it. It was called Find Your Happy. It was $18. It did help me think, but it did also kind of guide me more down the rabbit hole of new age. At the time, still, I was paying the business coach, the one that was not so spiritual, the one that was really more just on the businessy side of things. I was still paying her about $100 a month. So this had been going on for a few months. I'm sharing these prices with you because I want you to see how quickly the amount adds up. I forgot to mention in the beginning, in the 2-year time span, after all this is added up and after the prizes I was giving people and whatever, I ended up spending nearly $20,000. And believe me, I was not earning $20,000. In the 2-year time frame, I maybe earned $2,000 to $3,000, if that. So this is to go to show how quickly you can get involved in these things and just spend and spend and spend, because the mentality is the more you spend on yourself, the more you're going to attract it back to you tenfold. So this is part of what I learned in my journey here. So then I had purchased another course for $111. This was a course that helped with social media and building a business online. So I was still trying to pursue how can I build online and have support in that way. And this is going into March of 2021. I had hired someone. I don't know. I think at this point I was really just feeling like lost, and I was seeking answers, and I was now seeking healing. I never sought out healing before because I never felt as though I needed it for any type of reason. But based on the coaching, the spiritual coaching, and all the stuff I was starting to follow with the magic and the tarot cards and all the astrology, everything, like all the spiritual things, they push this healing. And I thought, like, my gosh, like I have all these old past childhood wounds that are now coming up, and I need them to be healed, and they're coming to the surface. And the reason why I'm not making money is because my childhood experiences or my adolescent experiences are not healed. And that's what's wrong with me. So I started seeking out healing, and I had hired someone to basically do, I don't know, some kind of like a cord cutting, she called it, spiritual cleansing, and there was a meditation. I was very moved by it. I know I cried, but it left me still kind of feeling lost and empty. And she said, if you want more, if you need more help, you can pay for coaching. And it was like another $100 or something. And I was like, well, I don't really have that right now, so maybe someday. I never ended up doing it with her, because then only about a week later, the woman that I had done the initial spiritual coaching with, that I had spent $1,000 on, I wanted to know who her mentor was, because she was talking so much about the universe and manifestation. I wanted to learn more about what this meant. So I wanted to know who was teaching her. So I found the name of this person and I started to follow her on Instagram. And then I liked the things she was saying. She was talking all about making money. And she was starting to run a course. It was, I believe, either a 6 or possibly 8-week course. I think it was an 8-week course, and it was called Money Miracles. And this course was $1,877. And she promised that by the end of it, you would have a completely different mindset around money, and that you'd be making money and manifesting money. And I was so nervous to spend this money, because prior to signing up for Money Miracles, which I did do, and I'll talk about in a minute, prior to signing up for Money Miracles, if I wanted to extend my coaching with the initial spiritual coach, she wanted, I think it was $4,000, maybe almost $5,000. And I had asked my husband, and I cried to my husband. I begged my husband, please, can I spend this money? It's going to make me a better coach. And he was like, we cannot spend that money. Like, we just don't have it. And I know you want it, but try it more on your own, see what happens. And I remember her saying to me, like, you don't need to go to your husband. You can make these decisions for yourself. And, then you'll make the money, and he'll be like, wow, like, you did it. How'd you do that? But we really didn't have this money to spend. So I couldn't spend what I didn't have. So that was only 3 months or so prior to me actually then spending $2,000 on this Money Miracles course, because after having a private side conversation with this coach, she had convinced me to spend the money, because it was more based on my mentality. And it really sounded like I had a hang up around money. And if I was so afraid to spend the money, then there's no way the money is going to come to me. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to take this course. And again, at the same time, I was still paying the business coach $100 a month to try and figure out my social media management and things like that. About a month later, I also purchased another book to help with figuring out who my ideal client is, who's the type of person that I want to attract. And this is really where I started to get into law of attraction, based on you design basically like an avatar of the type of person that you want to work with, and you speak directly to this person. So there's all of these, like, I feel like it's a manipulation type of marketing that really gets you thinking about how you can, I don't really want to say scam these people, because I wasn't trying to scam people, but it's how you can get people to spend their money with you. And the problem with coaching and in an unregulated industry is that your results are not guaranteed. And often when you don't get results, the finger is pointed back at you. Well, did you put in as much work as you know you could? Did you do what you had to do? Did you do your part? Because I did mine. I provided you with the course. I provided you with the lesson. What's going on in your head that you're not seeing results? It's you. That's what happens in the coaching industry. And this is what's wrong with the industry. Again, at the same time, I was still spending $100 a month on business coaching, and it was really getting me nowhere. Then I had met another tarot card reader online, and I thought, you know what, I want to try this again. I want to see what this is. And she was offering like a blessing of some sort. And I thought, you know what, why not? And I was following her on Instagram for a while, and her readings really spoke to me. She was a psychic medium and reading tarot cards, and everything she said always was like spot on for me. And I'm like, wow, like I really want to know what messages she has for me. So this was May of 2021. I started to invest in more tarot card readings, and I got more into astrology. Still continuing into May of 2021, after taking the Money Miracles course, that coach was then leading another 12-week program on teaching how she taught Money Miracles. There was a lot of meditation involved. There was a lot of just changing your mindset around money, but really what it was idolizing money. It was teaching you how to idolize money and how to look at money as something that is something that you can just attract and call in. And she had all these different methods. So May of 2021, she said, you know, as a Money Miracles alumni, you can now take my next course, which is the Miracle Worker Method, and learn exactly how I taught you to know everything you learned within your 6 weeks or whatever with me in Money Miracles. I'm going to teach you the method that I use. And I think a lot of what she learned in Bali while she was there, and had some kind of like a meditation retreat and all these things. And she just kept having things fall into her lap, basically, that worked out for her. So at the time it was over $3,000 for this course. And I was like, well, I would love to do this, but I can't. Like, I do not have $3,000 for your course. And so suddenly she came up with a scholarship opportunity that if I were to apply for this scholarship, that I could save some money on this 12-week Miracle Worker Method course. So I applied for it, and lo and behold, of course, I got it. I got the scholarship. So now, instead of paying the over $3,000 she wanted, she said it would be only $2,400 for the 12-week course. And I thought, I really want to do this. I want to learn how to teach people how to meditate. I've had great experiences. It really helps me think differently. And I want to know how she does it. Obviously, she's been through all these experiences that has gotten her here to this point. She herself is a six-figure earner, and she's doing something right and I'm doing something wrong. So I got to learn this method. So I went to my mom and I asked her if I could borrow the money. And at first she was like, are you sure? Like, yes, I can lend it to you, but are you sure? And I said, definitely sure. This is going to make me a lot of money. And she thought, okay. So she lent me the money. And that is how I paid for that course. And then I would, just slowly pay my mom back. And in the meantime, I was taking this course, and I remember, I think within the first 1 to 2 weeks, There was a 3 hour long meditation, but it was broken up into hour-and-a-half segments. So I remember saying to my husband, don't bother me. The kids are in bed. Like, here's the baby monitor. If they wake up, you take care of them. I am going to be in this room for an hour-and-a-half, take a little break, and then another hour-and-a-half. And what I remember specifically from that meditation, now it was long, so there was a lot that was going on during it. But what I remember is it was summertime and my house was very cold because we had the air conditioning on. But in this meditation, I remember we had our eyes closed in person, but in my meditation, she had led us somehow to seeing that we were in a circle with a group of people. And I don't remember who these people were, who this group was supposed to represent, but I remember there being some kind of leader. And then this leader basically placed like a crown on my head, but this crown was like a fiery crown. And then my head actually opened up, and it was like this red, like beaming, just like open space. And in that moment, my body, my physical body, felt like it was 100% on fire. Like I was burning up, even though the room was cold. And I remember thinking to myself, like, don't get out of this experience. Like, I am here in some kind of like alternate world. Like, something is going on. Like, stay in it. Something's happening here. And this is incredible. Like, I want to know what comes from it. And so I stayed in it. That's really the only part that I remember at this point, but I know it was so significant because I had never felt my body on fire like that before. So after this little like 3 hour retreat, I had reached out to my mentor and I had said, like, it was really weird. My body was completely on fire and this is what I saw. And she said that it was amazing that this had happened to me, that the gurus, these yogic, or I don't know what the word is, gurus, say that when the body feels heat, that it's actually like energy moving through you, and it really is a truly positive thing that this happened. And I thought, okay, well then great, like this is wonderful, moving on. And throughout this course, we were taught a lot of different methods. That's what the whole point of this was. We were taught many different breathing techniques. We were taught the breath of fire. We were taught a lot of like pranayama, just different types of breathing in order to create a different experience for you internally, externally, all of it. And I thought, this is awesome. I'm going to take this information. I'm going to be able to roll with it more. I'm going to be able to teach people how to change their mindset, how to change their life. And I also felt like I was gaining a lot of spiritual knowledge that many people didn't know, that I had never even known or considered or even thought existed before. So I really felt like I was onto something that was just so amazing and so great. And how could I not have known about this? How come people don't talk more about this? How is this not just like the way people live? It's crazy to me that people don't know that this is here and readily available to them. But at the same time, I was still spending money on business coaching and coaching through social media. So I bring this up again just to show how insecure I actually was and how uncertain I actually felt, because I was still constantly seeking more and more and more support, even though I had support from the people that I had hired. So June of 2021, I had made a $111 purchase to a very popular name in the coaching industry. And it was my first paid experience with her, but maybe about a month prior to that, as I was doing the Miracle Worker Method, I was taking a free course of hers. And it was about, it was called Invested, actually, and it was about money. And there's a common theme here in case you can't tell. So this course was about investing your money and how basically after 5 days of this course, the bottom line was not to be afraid to spend your money, because once you spend your money and you learn all of these great things from spending your money, then you can teach these great things and charge your worth because the coaching industry is unregulated. You can charge literally whatever you want, charge your worth, and make that money back. Get people hooked and make your money back tenfold. But at the same time, you have to still keep spending more than what you're earning, because otherwise then you're not going to earn back. You're not going to attract back what you've spent. So I was starting to take more courses from this other big name in the coaching industry. Also, I have here July of 2021, purchased more of the magical candles. That didn't work. And then in mid-July of 2021, I spent $222 on a course called the Projector Movement. Now, I had started to really get deeper into human design, because the more I dove into these spiritual new age concepts, the more I just wanted to learn and see what I was missing. How could I not know all this stuff? Why don't people talk about this stuff all the time? So through human design, I learned that I am what is called a projector. That is my type of design, I guess you could call it. And I wanted to know what this meant, because apparently on the surface level, what projectors are meant to do is to rest a lot and to live out their design based on all this rest that they're supposed to get. And I don't know, all these crazy things. And so I thought, I need to know more, because projectors are supposed to eat a certain way. They're supposed to run their businesses a certain way. And if you're not running them in the way that works for your design, then you're going to get burnout and it's never going to work for you. So if you want to make sure you make the millions, make sure you understand your human design. That's what's going to make it work. So I was like, okay, I need to learn all about being a projector. So I took this course. It didn't really help. And again, the common theme here too is also I was constantly searching, constantly every day, all the time, searching for more and more answers and spending a lot of money searching for these answers. And just 2 short weeks after that, I had spent more money again on another tarot card reading. I was continuing through the 12-week course of the Miracle Worker Method. And on August 8th of 2021, this is when I first learned about such thing as a portal. And I had never heard of a portal before. So I decided to pay the $88 to get into the August 8th 88 portal with this big name in the coaching industry. And she led us through a meditation. She talked a lot about, what your desires on your heart are and how you can walk with these desires and take leaps of faith and all these things. And I thought, I was just hanging on to her every word. She has a very, I want to say, manipulative way of speaking, because the way she speaks into the camera and the way she just captures your eyes and your attention and pulls you in, it's manipulative. It's in order for her to run a cheap or free course, she uses a lot of what I'll call word salad, fancy words. And then at the end, of course, there's always a way to upgrade into her more expensive courses. And of course, you're going to get pulled in, because she's going to sweet talk you and talk all about all these great things that you can attract in your life if you are to follow her way. So I went through the portal, I took this course, I left all these things in the portal, and I thought, like, wow, how do we not know about portals? Like, this is crazy. I went through a portal. I left things in the portal. And now on 2/2 of 22, I'm going to get out of the portal what I put into the portal. So this is great. I should be earning millions by then. So I went through this process and I thought, again, like, how do people not know about this? And these numbers, these angel numbers that were constantly coming up through all these coaches, they were saying, look for the signs, look for the angel numbers, the repeating numbers, the patterns, the synchronicities. All of these are new age terms. Okay. Like, if angel numbers were a real thing, they'd be talked about in the Bible, and they're just not. Okay. So angel numbers are a completely new age concept. And so I was constantly hooked on looking for these magical angel numbers, especially after going through the 8-8 portal. I was always on the lookout. I wanted to know always. I was almost like trying to like purposely look for this angel number so that I knew there was a message. And then you can Google what those certain repeating numbers mean. I was always looking at what they could mean. And again, common theme, always searching for an answer, never felt satisfied. So after taking the 8-8 portal, I did decide to sign up for another program of this person's, and this was actually a cheaper one. I only spent $23 on it. I don't even remember what it was though. Then I spent more money on another tarot card reading. And again, at the same time, I was still paying my mom back for the Miracle Worker Method course. Then I have here in September that I spent $27 on a course. I have the name of it written down, but I don't even know what it is. I don't remember what it, like, I don't know why I spent the money on it. I don't know what it stands for. And then again in September, I spent another $120 with a coach that was a human design coach that also helped you build a business on Instagram through your written word. So based on your captions, like in your posts, she could help you with that based on your human design. So I spent money on that and it didn't help. Then at the same time, still in September of 2021, I felt like a failure. I felt like nothing is working. I knew I had already spent a ton of money, and it had been almost a full year since I had hired that initial coach. And I thought, I'm lost. I'm doing something wrong. I don't understand what it could possibly be. So I went to the coach who has one of the biggest names in the industry. I went to her and I wanted to know, what is it? What am I doing wrong? I made a post in her Facebook group, and a bunch of people commented, and they were basically saying, it's your mindset. It's your limiting beliefs. It's you. And I can help you. Many people said, I can help you with this. I can help you with this. I'm going to DM you. I got so many DMs that day that I couldn't even keep up with the ones that were coming in. I had over like 100 comments on it. I had all these DMs coming in, and it was too much to keep up with. I think I responded to 2 or maybe 3 of them, but there was one, it's a girl, she was, I don't want to say pushy, but she was firm. We'll put it that way. She was firm. And she said, let me set up a call with you. And I thought, all right, like, I don't really have time for a call, but all right, let's figure it out. So we made a call at like 6 a.m. and super quick. I was like, I don't have a lot of time. My kids are going to wake up. And she was like, that's okay. And she just basically asked me like what my desires are. If I were to work with her, what would I want to get out of it? And I said, well, I would love to make $2,000 because I know that I've spent way more than $2,000 at this point, but I was still going through the Miracle Worker Method course, and I really wanted to pay my mom back. So it's like, if I could make $2,000, like it would just mean the world to me. So she said, okay. She said, it's $1,000 to work with me for 7 days. And I was like, I cannot. I don't have $1,000 to spend on you. And then it was like, she just stared at me and was like, why? You want this to work, don't you? And I was like, yes, but like, you don't understand. Like, I've already spent thousands of dollars. I don't have another $1,000 to spend on you. And she was like, if you want the $2,000, basically, if you want the $2,000, you'll work with me for the $1,000 because you'll get your money back. And she just held the tension. And I eventually learned that that is part of her manipulation tactic, was to hold the tension. Hold the tension. Don't let go. Stare them in the eye. Don't let go until they're like broken down and they say yes. So I finally was like, all right, I'm like, I could give you $500 today and I'll figure out the other $500 sometime. I don't know. And she was like, okay, great. And then to be nice, she decided to bump it up to 10 days for me. So because it was like the weekend, it was like a Friday when we were on this phone call or something. So I ended up getting 10 days with her. Those 10 days were the most stressful days of my life ever. She made me feel so uncomfortable. I opened up about a lot to her. And there were so many times I wanted to just say, you know what, I'm done working with you. You're not helping me. Just keep the money because I don't have anything more to say to you. But then I kept saying to myself, like, I've got it in my head from all these other coaches I've worked with that it's not the coach, it's you. It's you and your mindset that's the problem. So I thought, all right, I'm going to stick out the 10 days. I paid her for it already, so I'm going to stick it out. Well, I couldn't even tell you how mad I was by the end of it because she had just pushed me in every wrong way. And I felt honestly just angry that I had spent the money because what happened was on the last day, on the 10th day, my husband and I were refinancing our house. And on that day, we went to go do all the banking situation, get that figured out. And they said, oh, you're going to get $2,000 back because of the difference in the money in the refinance. And we were like, oh, that's cool. Like, we really weren't expecting it to work out that way, but it just did. So as I was closing with this particular coach, I told her, I'm like, you know, I didn't make any money in the 10 days working with her, but I said, it's weird. Like, I was just told, like, my husband and I are going to get $2,000. And she was like, there you go. You manifested it. Good job. Like, it worked. I told you working with me is amazing, isn't it? Because you manifested the $2,000. And that way the $1,000 you spent with me was worth it, right? And I didn't express it to her, but I was so angry because I felt so ripped off. And I felt like that's not the way this works. Like, she told me that I would make money as a coach through working with her, not through just manifesting magical money. So I felt just very ripped off at that point. But don't worry, I kept spending more money on more coaching. I was still paying my mom back for the Miracle Worker Method course. I bought another $17 course from someone of the same name from before that I have no idea what it was. I don't even remember. Manifest was something, I don't remember what it was. It was literally like I was throwing money away because I kept trying to find solutions and answers to everything. And then I spent $20 on some objects for around the house, like sage crystals, things like that. And because I thought, like, something's gotta work, something must work here. And now we're getting into late November of 2021. So about at this point, a year after I had started trying to figure out this coaching thing. And I had purchased a $111 course from someone who claimed to be a witch. And it was a bundle package. You got like 5 different courses of hers for only $111. So I thought, like, this is different. Like, I haven't done witchcraft yet. Let me try some witchcraft. Why not? Because nothing else is working. All this coaching I'm getting, all this money I'm spending, all this mindset stuff, nothing's working. So let's try witchcraft, right? So I purchased this course from her, and she had created her own sort of money, like calling in money, manifesting money spell. And as I was listening to her teaching and coaching, and then eventually telling the spell, the moment she was actually telling and saying the spell, I was driving and I hit a squirrel and it died. I saw it in the road. It happened. It was the first animal I think I've ever hit. I don't like, and having it die, I've never done that before. So I thought, okay, like, this is a little weird. Like, this happened. Like, I killed a squirrel while a spell was happening in my car. And I'm like saying the spell because I was repeating it with her. And she had also said, if you were able to light a candle, to write the spell down, light a candle, put the spell underneath the candle. And that was part of the fire magic that was involved in it. But I was driving, so I wasn't able to do that. And she was like, if you can't for whatever reason at this time, that's fine. Do the fire part of it later though. Like, don't forget. So I was thinking, like, okay, but then I'm like, I'm kind of freaked out about like killing this squirrel at this exact time. I'm like, too coincidental. I didn't really believe in coincidences. So I'm like, I don't know. I kind of let it go. And then just a few days later, I was actually maybe not even a few days later, like maybe like that night or the night after, I was talking to my friend, the one who is a tarot card reader, and she said, hey, like, I'm just getting this like feeling to tell you not to work with fire magic. And I was like, whoa, it's really weird that you say that, because I was actually like about to, like tomorrow, I was planning to do this spell and like this candle and all this stuff. And she's like, okay, like, what are you talking about? Like, tell me. And so I told her this about this witch who was on Instagram. I had her look up her page and tell me if she was like the real deal or whatever. She's like, oh, no, 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 no. She's like, I'm getting bad vibes from this girl. Like, do not do whatever she's doing. She doesn't know what she's doing. So don't do anymore. Definitely don't do the fire magic. So I'm like, okay, I won't. I didn't. But it was something I could have gotten into. It was a slippery slope for me. And somewhere right around that time, I also, for the first time, had taken a free course by another pretty big name in the coaching industry. And it was the prerequisite to her coaching course, if you want to call it, which was called the House of Wealth Embodiment. And she designed this house, which was a virtual house, to look like almost like a Gothic church. It was very dark, all black. And this prerequisite to this program, within it, she was showing you how she designed this program and how you could call in and embody a wealth identity. And I thought, now this is interesting. Like, okay, maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. I don't have a wealth identity. I don't feel wealthy enough. So I must not have this wealthy identity yet. So I went through her free course, and in her free course, you were able to move through it's like a yoga type of process. There was breathing involved. There was these like different, like 7, I think, different yoga moves involved. And she led you through verbally as your eyes are closed, and you had to be holding on to money, of course, while this happened. She led you through this process of fighting money. Basically, you're holding the money in your hands, you're like fighting, you're ripping through all this, like these feelings of poverty, and then you're breaking down. Now she says she channeled this whole experience. Channeling means like basically she psychically channeled and brought into her body this whole process. So she designed this process, and she took everyone who went through this course through the process. And then, you're holding onto your money. I remember at one point you had to pretend you were like holding a bow and arrow, and you're shooting your desires into the air, and they're meant for you, and you're meant to hold more wealth, hold more identity. It was, at the time, I thought, the most moving thing ever. And I thought, oh, like this is insane. I was crying. Like, it was just a whole thing. And when I went through this, I thought, like, wow, like maybe this is what I'm missing. But then her course, her House of Wealth Embodiment, was another like $2,000. And I'm like, I can't do that again. So I never ended up taking that course. But I felt like it was always something that I was missing. So instead, at the end of November 2021, I invested another $300 in another coach who calls herself the Money Queen. And there's a lot I could say about this girl, but I think I'm going to save that for my social media, because my plan from here on out after this video is to use my social media as more evidence of what is going on and what is wrong in the coaching industry. But I'm going to leave it at that. I spent $300 with her at the end of November 2021. And then I spent another $200 just a week later on the mentor that I had hired for the Miracle Worker Method that taught us, all the ways of being able to teach meditation and things like that. So she must have been running another course, and I paid the $200 to do that. So then by December of 2021, I felt like I'm still not getting anywhere. I didn't sign up for the House of Wealth Embodiment a month prior to that. So I missed my window there. So instead, I found yet another mentor who was running a business for mothers specifically. I thought, well, maybe this is what I'm missing. All the other coaches I work with, so many of them don't even have kids. So they just can't relate to me on that level. This coach that was running this course was asking $2,000 for her course. So I decided to ask my mom again. I was done paying her off finally from the first $2,400 that I owed her. And I said, I really need this $2,000. And she was like, again? Like, why? And I said, listen, like I paid you off the first $2,000. I can pay you off this $2,000 too. I just need time. That's all I need. And she was like, are you sure? And I said, yes, I'm going to make money from this. So there's no way I'm not. And she was like, okay. So she gave me the $2,000 for this course. And then I just about a week later spent another $17 on another tarot card reading. So then by the start of 2022, I thought to myself, you know what? I have worked with enough coaches that I feel as though I've learned a lot of different things. I've learned how to do these meditations and lead people through them, that I can now design my own course. So I created a program. It was a 6-week program called Metamorphosis, where I felt like it was really where I wanted to take people who really were on like a fitness journey, but I wanted to take them through the whole trifecta of mind, body, and soul. So this program was designed to work with the woman who was on a fitness journey, but to also very spiritually lead them and work with their mindset on, you can do this, you can transform your life, because we're doing it spiritually. So there was that push on the spirituality. And I designed this course, and pretty much right away, as soon as I was done creating it, and plus I was talking about it for a while on my social media, I did have someone sign up for it. And I was so excited because it was finally a little bit of money made compared to all of the thousands and thousands of dollars that I was spending. So I felt like, okay, this is it. This is really the start. And in the meantime, I wanted to continue to get more coaching from other people. There were a lot of coaches. There's so many coaches on the online space, and they really pull you in because they say they have all these secrets or these codes that they have cracked, that they know that you don't know. So if you want to know them, you've got to pay them so that you can learn them. And then you can go charge other people so that you can make the money for yourself too in teaching these things. That's how it works. So I hired this girl. I took one of her courses, and it was all about like these angel numbers. And it was also about the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Now, if you don't know what that is, honestly, I don't even really want to go into explaining it, but it's basically just saying there's like a masculine energy, energetic way of doing things, and then a feminine energetic way of doing things, where feminine is more flowy and free and masculine is more structured and regimented, which makes sense, right? When you think about it. But this was a course that helped you understand that at a deeper level. I had heard it a little bit in the year prior, but I never really understood it. So this course really helped me to understand those concepts. And again, the emphasis, excuse me, on the angel numbers was really pushed. Then I learned of another psychic medium online who taught a lot about just spiritual new age and basically how you became the soul that you are. So I decided to purchase her course. It was marked down from $1,000 to $222. And it was called the Ascension Arena. So she was teaching you how to come into this arena together with all of these other people who have been through this and ascend together. Now, the issue here is that ascension is a biblical term, right? When you think of Jesus and he ascended, but she is telling you, you can ascend, that you were made to be here. Your soul, your spirit on earth is made to ascend into just a higher being. So I took this course of hers and learned a lot about the soul that I am here to be. And in the meantime, January and February of 2022, so this was only a year ago from now, I spent $555 on another big name in the coaching industry, just taking more of her courses because she talked a lot about how she comes from nothing. She comes from living in her car to being a multimillionaire, an 8-figure earner. Like, what does that even mean? Like, what is it like to earn 20 plus million dollars a year? Like, I don't even know, I can't even wrap my head around that. And now she earns even more than that. So I thought, like, this must be like, she knows her stuff. She went from living in her car to now millions and millions and millions. Like, I don't even know how to fathom any of that. And at the same time, I decided I must not know enough yet about meditation. So there was someone I had been following for a while on Instagram that was offering a specific type of Buddhist meditation course. And he said, if you want to learn this specific type of meditation, you can take my course. And it was $201. So I decided to take the course and learn all about like the history of this Buddhist type of meditation and get the benefits from it. I did it. I thought it was okay. It wasn't really different than anything I was doing, but maybe I learned the difference between being walked through a meditation versus silent meditation. So that's what that course really taught me. And then in March of 2022, I spent more money again on a tarot card reading. And I also, 4 days later, spent more money again on another course, $55 on another course, just with another spiritual coach. I don't even remember what happened in that lesson. Then only 2 weeks later, I spent another $444 with my initial mentor, the one who taught the miracle worker method, the meditation, on a course that she was running. And I had spent another $39 on the spiritual leader, coach, mentor, whatever you want to call her, the one who had created the Ascension Arena. At this point, I was spending a lot more money. I spent another $444 with her. And then I thought, I got to run Metamorphosis again. I need to make more money because I had only made money once and it was only $555. It was not covering all of these hundreds and hundreds of dollars I was spending. So I ran Metamorphosis again, but I wasn't really getting a lot of interest in it. So I ran it and I only charged $222, and I did get one person to sign up for that. In the meantime, I created another program, a 3-day, just kind of little mini course called The Determined Woman. I actually really liked this course. It was about just being strong-willed and determined. If you want to run a business, or if you have your eyes set on something in this lifetime, you can do it. And there's a spiritual way to do it. And there's the masculine and the feminine energies, because now that I worked with so many of these spiritual coaches, I understood the masculine and the feminine so much more that I wanted to teach about it. And again, also lead through meditation so that people could really absorb that information into their body and get the most out of it that they could. So that was around April of 2022. And at the same time, I then spent that $222 on a business mentor. Now, this business mentor wasn't super into spirituality. She was really more of like the business side of things, but still kind of law of attraction type thing. Like, if you spend more money on me and with me, then you will make more money. So I spent the initial $222 on her, which I had just earned from Metamorphosis. And then I spent another $421 with her on another bundle. I can't say I really learned too much from her, because the thing is, a lot of these coaches are all saying the same thing. They're all teaching the same thing. They're just putting their own spin on it. And then I spent April 2022, mid-April, I spent $65 on another social media mentor to help me figure out what I can add to my content on my social media to really help attract more people. And then I spent over $2,000, again, another mentor who I wanted to work one-on-one with someone. The only other time I worked one-on-one with someone was the woman who basically scammed me and said I magically manifested the $2,000 she said I would make. So I thought, what must be going wrong is I haven't worked with anyone one-on-one. I'm not spending the money like I want people to spend on me. So this is the problem. So she wanted $2,000. And I did not have $2,000. I still owed my mom money. So I thought, how am I going to get this money? The way I got this money was I stole the money from my kids' bank accounts. And I remember the feeling as I was taking the money, I said to myself, never do this again. Never again. Do not steal money from your kids again. And I felt so guilty, but I had already paid her. I felt so guilty for what I had done. It was the $2,000 to work with her. I believe it was for a month. And I thought, okay, it's okay. Like I have a whole month with her. I'm going to earn this $2,000 back. I am going to get my head in the right place. I'm going to pay my kids back as fast as humanly possible. And no one's ever going to know I didn't tell anyone. And I said, I gotta do this. I gotta make this money. And so in working with her, we worked with some mindset stuff. It really wasn't anything really different than what I had worked on with other coaches and mentors. But by the end, I had an idea for another masterclass that I could run. I had noticed, like she said, to pay attention to what it is that people need. Like, what is it that people are searching for, and how can you help them with that? And so I noticed, I started paying attention to people's interactions with each other. And I noticed like a lot of people are in really toxic relationships. So I told her about an idea I had for a quick little mini course. And she thought, yeah, great, like perfect. You can call it Ending Toxic Relationship Patterns. And I'm like, yeah, perfect. So I created it. It was just like a one-day thing. And at the same time, I threw it out there to the world, but nobody wanted it. So I was like, well, whatever, like my time's coming. And in my time with her, I also signed up for a sound healer certification, which was $88, and completed that. So I felt like I at least had now a certification in my back pocket, because in the coaching industry, they say it's because it's unregulated, you don't need a certification for anything. Your experience is enough to certify you to help guide someone through whatever it is that they're going through in their life, because you are experienced in what you went through. So I created the Ending Toxic Relationship Patterns. I kind of talked about it a little bit. I kind of offered it as a free thing to people. I think maybe a couple people watched it. I don't know. But I thought I need to pay my kids back. That was like the one thing that was bothering me. And I went onto one of my mentors' Facebook pages and I admitted what I had done. And everyone who commented said, like, don't feel bad. That's an investment. You invested your kids' money. You didn't just take it and steal it and spend it. You invested it. So I thought, oh, my mindset's all wrong. It was an investment, but I still felt incredibly guilty for it because I didn't know how I was going to pay them back. So then June of 2022, I created a program called Resurrection. I did this on purpose because after completing the Ascension Arena, I thought, I am just a soul in a body on this earth who has ascended. And why not use a biblical term like resurrection, like rise? And I didn't want to use ascension. So many people were using in the spiritual community, they were overusing the word ascension. So I didn't want to use the word ascension. So I thought resurrection, yes. So I created a program called Resurrection. And this program was basically about fizzling out the person who you once were, working out the relationships in your life, realizing that you're the problem, not anyone else. And also I threw in Ending Toxic Relationship Patterns. And I also, in the meantime, created a program called The Power of One. I learned this concept through the mentor that I had who taught the Miracle Worker method, that you hold all the power. You are the powerful one. You are the one that makes all the moves, that gets to decide what it is you want in this life. You are the one. And her famous phrase was that you are one with the one. So she puts you on the same level as God. And so I thought, wow, like I said to her even, I said, I think I understand. I am God. And she was like, yes. And I was like, wow, I am God. This is amazing. Like, I can now create so much because I am God. Not kidding you. This is what I said. And she confirmed it to be true, so I believed it was true. So June of 2022, created Resurrection, created the Power of One, and again spent $111 with one coach, and then another $111 with another coach. So I was still spending and not earning. Then I spent another $47 on another Instagram guru to help with my Instagram growing. And I also spent $26 on a website domain name because I thought, you know what, I'm going to grow so much from this because I know now that I am God. I can do this. I haven't been doing it right yet. So now that I know all this and I've confirmed all this and I've created all these programs, I have all these amazing programs that I've created. I know my programs are going to change lives. I know my programs are going to make millions. I need a domain, a website domain. So I spent money on that. Created another email type of profile. And then I spent another $44 with the woman who created the Ascension Arena. She was running a little special on something. So then I had an opportunity once again to take the prerequisite to the House of Wealth Embodiment course for free. And remember, we had to go through all of these motions, all these different type of yoga poses. And again, I mean, like holding the money, feeling like the disempowerment from being in poverty, and then the empowerment from gaining all this money. And I was in tears and I was crying and I was like, this is what I'm doing wrong. It's because I've had this unworthy, unwealthy identity. And this is what's really like been my problem. But again, I couldn't spend $2,000 on her actual house of wealth embodiment. So I thought, you know, this stinks, but I'm going to have to just move on once again. But I went through the process again, and I'm going to take a moment to pause to read to you a quote from a woman named Johanna Michelson. She is an ex-member of the occult, and she says a very powerful thing. She says, you cannot take the practices of ancient pagan nations like yoga and pranayama. You cannot take these practices and throw Christian terminology at it and think that you're going to honor God with it because you think your intent is to honor Jesus. Christians cannot do yoga. This practice honors the demon gods of other belief systems. Yoga was designed to create union with Hindu deities. You cannot use the breathing techniques of pranayama. You cannot use these techniques and think you're going to encounter anything other than the ancient gods they were designed to put you in contact with. And again, these are the words of a woman named Johanna Michelson, who is an ex-member of the occult. And then she points you in the direction of, in the Bible, Deuteronomy 12:31, you must not worship the Lord your God their way, because in worshiping their gods, they do all kinds of detestable things that the Lord hates. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fire as sacrifices to their gods. This is the problem of what I was doing when I thought it would be a good idea to join the House of Wealth Embodiment. So I'm so glad I never got into that. Not to say I didn't do many other bad things. This is also the time we were coming up now, August 8th of 2022. This is now at this point only about, 5 months ago. August 8th, my second 8/8 portal. I went through this portal twice. I went through with one mentor, big name in the coaching industry, and I went through with the other mentor that had run the Ascension Arena, and she is the one who, she kept the portal open from 8/8 to 8/12. And each time you took yourself through this portal, she did this like a spiritual cleansing where she claimed to be scraping all kinds of things off of your soul. She claimed that the master Jesus was in the room with us, along with other saints and whatever else she said was there to be a part of a witnessing almost. I honestly don't really remember exactly everything that happened during it, but it was like a meditation. She said that she was basically, um, I don't know, she was working through the portal on cleansing the people who decided to be a part of this process. So I had taken myself through that every single day. And what she claimed that, this would do would be to cleanse you, but also to whatever it is you want to manifest. She said, name it. Name it. You can bet I wanted to manifest $1 million. I should have manifested by now. Like, I was working so hard and learning so many different things and doing all the attraction things. So I thought, you know what? That's what I'm doing wrong. I'm not speaking exactly to the things that really people can relate to. Like, yes, people have relationship issues and they want to work on themselves, but what is the one thing and the thing that I keep chasing after that everybody else wants? Money. So I realized I need to run a money course. That's what I'm missing. That's what's going to make me all the money, because people don't know this law of attraction stuff like I do. People don't know all this spirituality stuff like I do. So I need to run a money course where I get to teach people about how they can attract money. So I decided, how can I be smart about this? I really want to attract people. So I decided the first time I run it, I'm going to run it completely for free. I'm not going to charge anybody. And I made this like extra special. I really wanted people to know, like, this is a big deal. Like, you are going to manifest money if you come into this course. So this was right around August of 2022. And at the same time that I was running my free money course and also advertising that I was going to give out a $222 prize for taking the course at the end. So someone was going to manifest money from taking my course that I was charging nothing for. I was taking another course that I spent $25 on, and then another course that I spent $111 on. During my money course that I was running, I did manifest or attract one client for my resurrection program, and I took her through that, and I was starting to feel like, I wonder if I'm doing something wrong. Like, there was just like this inkling within me that just said, like, something isn't right, but I needed to keep pushing. It didn't matter. Like, I was like, no, like, I'm just having these doubts because I'm starting to see success. And I thought, you know what? And then there were some people who had taken my money mastery program and they had purchased some of my other smaller programs from me. So I was making a little bit of money. I thought, finally, this is working. Finally, like, I had made maybe like $1,000. So I was like, okay, like, we're going somewhere with this finally. So I was like, I'm really like moving here. I gotta spend more money. So I spent $100 to get a professional Zoom account. And then I spent another $65 on another mindset, spiritual / like law of attraction coach. And then I spent $55 on another coach that claimed to be a witch, because I felt like I needed to get more into witchcraft again. And then I spent another $52 on a human design coach. So just smaller, kind of simpler things, but all of that truly adds up. And then in the meantime, I was also taking a free course about money from another coach that's on the online industry. And she was speaking about how basically money, if you are repelling money in any way, you're never going to attract it. And that also includes credit cards. If you reject using your credit card, you are repelling money from entering into your life. Because if you're afraid to spend money on credit, then money's going to be afraid to come back to you. And that's not the kind of energy you want to be in. So that's the kind of stuff that I was teaching in my money mastery course. Then I had created another course that I decided to run again for free called Calling in the Wealth Week. And these were based on a lot of concepts of being within a wealth identity. Now, these were the things that I had learned from the prerequisite to the House of Wealth Embodiment program. So I didn't include all of the like the yoga poses or anything like that, but I had taken myself through the prerequisite course twice now and felt I knew enough about how to really get that embodiment of being this like wealthy woman who just knows her worth. So I decided I could teach on that. And I also sprinkled in a little bit of some social media building advice, because at that point I'd hired so many social media mentors that I felt I had a pretty good grasp on how I could help you build your social media. So I sprinkled a little bit of that in there too. And then that was the Calling in the Wealth Week was on the October 10th portal, the 1010 portal. So there was another portal there that I was running these programs through. I did Money Mastery on the 88 portal, and I did the Calling in the Wealth Week on the 1010 portal. So at this point, you can see I was really working with a lot of the new age demonic concepts of these portals that I was taking myself through. And I'm just going to add that I do still believe that this is real, that these portals are real and they are demonic, and you can enter them. You can take yourself into these dark places. I was filled with darkness at this point, filled to the brim and seeking more constantly. Never felt adequate, never felt full. Always wanted to find more, because I always felt like there was never enough. There was always more that I could learn, because that's what these coaches were telling you. Like, you're never going to know it all. You got to keep learning. You got to keep seeking. You got to keep staying ahead of everyone else that you are going to mentor, so that you have something to mentor on. So I had, gone through the 1010 portal. And that is when I'm going to bring this full circle and connect back to my first video where I talk about, I had the life-changing experience with my friend. So shortly after going through the 1010 portal, my friend and I had a conversation about religion. And she had said to me, Jesus is the way. There is no other way. I believe that Jesus is the way. And I said, well, that's interesting. Like, yeah, you can believe that if you want, but I just believe that if anyone believes that there is a God that is above them, then that's great. But secret, which I already told you, I believed I was God. So I was like, I'm just going to say this because I don't know, like, she's throwing Jesus in there. Like, I'm not going to really, I don't want to mess with Jesus. So I'm not going to tell her I think I'm God, because that would be like saying like I'm better than Jesus, which I wasn't like going to admit, even though I know I felt that. So then she just said, no, like, I'm still just going to tell you like Jesus is the way. And it wasn't pushy in any way. It was just that, like, she was just saying, this is my belief. And I was like, okay, this is my belief. So whatever, we can believe different things. It's fine. We can still be friends. And then maybe a day or two after that, I think it was actually the very next day. I was at work and I had a patient, 86 years old, little tiny old lady. And we were just having a conversation that led to her wanting to say a prayer over me. And she could tell, I know she could tell I was kind of troubled, but she didn't know nothing about the new age things that I was getting into. She was more concerned just for my concern for my kids and their future. So she said, could I please pray over you? And I said, of course. So she just held onto my shoulders and I held onto her little shoulders, and she said the most beautiful prayer that just moved me. And she spoke directly to Jesus in her prayer. And I remember thinking, like, this is no coincidence that my friend just told me that Jesus is the way, and then she's here right now bringing Jesus into the room. And I felt something over my body that I had never felt before. I had felt something move through me that I had never felt before. And when she left the room, I thanked her, I shut the door, and I just started crying. And I said to myself, I have been doing something wrong, because what that was was so much more powerful than anything else I've been doing for the last 2 years. Something is wrong, and it's me. So that day I went and I picked up the Bible and I just started reading. Now I wasn't super consistent with it at first. I was kind of in and out of it, because then on the same day that this woman prayed over me, I purchased another $37 program. This one was, again, just more law of attraction type stuff. And then on November 1st, I purchased the very last thing I'll ever purchase again, as far as coaching or anything like that. And it was only $7. And this is how I justified the purchase. It was $7 to become a NLP life coach. Now, if you don't know what NLP is, it's neuro linguistic programming. So it's literally teaching people how to say things and reprogram their minds so that they can live out a different life, because it's all about like what you say is what you're going to attract. So this was to get a certification in that so I could teach that. But then I realized shortly after that I'm never going to complete this course, because as I was reading the Bible, just a few days later, I said to my friend, I called her and I said, I've been reading the Bible. I've been thinking about how you said Jesus is the way, and I think I've sinned. I've done something wrong. I think I've sinned, and I don't know what to do from here. And she just said, Dana, I've been praying for you. It's amazing that you finally recognized this, and just repent. Tell Jesus you're sorry. And I did so many times over weeks, several weeks, even sometimes I still bring it up because I can't believe I did all what I did. And I'm sure there's details I'm forgetting, but I know in my heart at this point, it's all been forgiven. And I think the number one thing, the biggest takeaway I have, is that ever since that day that I decided enough's enough, I have not sought out anything anymore. I don't feel so lost or incomplete anymore. I finally feel peace. In fact, there was a day I took my daughter sledding and we were outside and it was just me and her, and it was so much fun. And I didn't care about social media. I hadn't even touched my phone all day, maybe to except take like one picture and a video of her real quick to invite my neighbors to come play because we were having so much fun. And I just knelt down in the snow and I looked up and I said, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for moving through me, because I have been saved. I feel so at peace in my heart like I've never felt before. Thank you. Thank you for getting me out of that darkness. Thank you for taking me away from all the questioning of what I was doing wrong, for all of the idolizing of the money, for the fighting with my husband over why I couldn't figure this out and make the money work, and how I was spending so much money and where's our money going, and lying and stealing. Thank you for saving me. And that leaves me where I'm at today. And that brings me to telling this story to you today and sharing my experience, so that I hope and pray you never find yourself in an experience like this. It is a slippery slope working with your mindset, especially if you are open to spiritual concepts. And shortly after being prayed over, but before I had told my friend that I thought I sinned, I had found a New Age to Jesus testimonial. I was led to it. I led to YouTube and I watched this girl's video. It was like over an hour long. And while I related to almost none of it, because her story was mostly about her being on drugs and her boyfriend being on drugs, I could hear what she was saying and how she was saved, and a very small fraction of it related to me, and it gave me enough evidence and enough proof to move forward in faith and trust and know that it's going to be okay, that Jesus is here for me and he's here for you too. So I want to share just a few Bible verses that have shown me, because as I was reading the Bible, I couldn't even believe that it was speaking to me about my experiences. And there's a few I want to share with you because they're so important and they've moved me in such a way. The first one is Romans 8:5-6. Those who live according to the flesh have their minds set on what the flesh desires. But those who live in accordance with the Spirit have their minds set on what the Spirit desires. The mind governed by the flesh is death, but the mind governed by the Spirit is life and peace. Did I not just say that I was filled with peace? When I was working with New Age and spirituality, it was like I was dying every day. I couldn't get out of this darkness. And Jesus brought me peace. Luke 13:24, make every effort to enter through the narrow door because many, I tell you, will try to enter and will not be able to. Now, this one's important because before I was saved, I actually used this Bible quote as a New Age concept, and I didn't know that it was, I didn't know that it meant that you had to follow Jesus in order to get into heaven. And that is the narrow door that this is speaking about, because many are going to try to get in, but if you're not following Jesus, Jesus isn't going to know you. He's going to say, I don't know you. You can't come in. Does Jesus know you? Do you know Jesus? Do you have that relationship? You're not just automatically guaranteed access to heaven if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, a working relationship. And what does that look like for you? John 7:18, whoever speaks on their own does so to gain personal glory. But he who seeks the glory of the one who sent him is a man of truth, and there is nothing false about him. This one felt important to me because I was all about gaining the personal glory. Little did I know. Little did I know. My final thought. Okay, wait, I have two final thoughts. I don't remember where in the Bible this is because it's just coming to my mind now, so I feel as though I should say it again. I said it in my first video, but the enemy will present himself as an angel of light. It's in the Bible. So the people who saw me as their coach, I'm sure viewed me as an angel of light because I was always talking and sharing love and light and harmony and bliss and all the things, even though that's not what I was feeling inside at all. All of the coaches that I followed, literally, some of them even angel wings in their pictures, disguised themselves as angels of light. Some didn't. Some were straight up very dark, very demonic appearing, but many that I followed pretended to be and believe they even are an angel of light. Be careful. Be careful. My final thought before I close this out is from John chapter 5, verse 44. How can you believe since you accept glory from one another, but do not seek the glory that comes from the only God? I'm going to leave that for you to reflect on as I close this video out. So I'm going to repeat it one more time. How can you believe since you accept glory from one another, meaning other people, but do not seek the glory that comes from the one and only God? Reflect on that, my friends. I thank you, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye.